looking at the questions that Muslims ask us, a second question that comes up that's a corollary to the one we just did concerning whether or not we share the same God concerns whether or not God could enter time and space. The first part of that category. Can God enter time and space? And I've always was quizzical why Muslims even ask this question, because they're walking themselves into a trap by asking this. I remember I did a debate in Kazan, Russia, and this was the first question that was asked by the two men that were doing the debate with me, and they said, Allahu Akbar, God is the greater. But please, Mr. Smith, do not say that God entered time and space. Please do not say that he was corrupted like us, that he took on human form, a corrupted form like us. Please don't say that God did that because you're limiting God. And I remember looking at them, and I remember telling my translator, God, tell them, shame on you. Shame on. He didn't want to say that at first. And so I said, no, just tell them, shame on you for saying God is the greater. Allahu Akbar. But in the same sentence, in the very next sentence, you're saying, but he cannot enter time and space because you have just taken away his greatness. Stop saying that God is omnipotent, yet he cannot become a man, because of you just taken away his omnipotence. Would you please stop limiting God? I remember after that they started asking me, well, you mean God could eat like us and drink like us? I said, yeah, I know your Quran disagrees with that. In Quran chapter 5, verse 75, that God cannot eat. But then I would ask you to go to Abraham, since you believe that Abraham is your forefather, and ask Abraham who he was eating with in front of the tent of Mamre. He was eating with God. Yes, of course God can eat. He was there, right there, eating with Abraham. My God can eat, can't yours? Yeah, and then they came back on me and they said, oh, you mean God could go to the toilet? I said, yes, my God can go to the toilet. Can't your God go to the toilet? You mean I can do something that your God can do, which makes me greater than your God? Come on, you got too small a God. Get a bigger God. Come on home. His name is Jesus Christ. Ooh, the questions they were asking were just putting them into a corner, deeper and deeper. And then they finally said, oh, you mean you're not saying that God can actually die? And I remember telling my translator, I said, say this, you Muslims have spent the last 10 minutes telling me that God is great, but yet he cannot become a man. You're telling me that God is great, yet he cannot take on human form and enter time and space. You're telling me God is great, yet he cannot eat like I can eat. You're telling me God is great, but yet he can't go to the toilet like I can go to the toilet. And now you're asking me whether God can die. You're telling God what he can and cannot do. All the way through, you're telling God. And Muslims do this all the time. You're always telling God what he can and cannot do. Why don't we let God tell us what he can and cannot do? And so I took him right back to John chapter 10, where Jesus says that very same thing. He said, for the Son of Man, that's one of his most favorite names, titles that he gives himself. We'll talk about that in another episode. For the Son of Man can lay down his life and take it up again. Yes, my God can die, but don't leave him dead, for heaven's sakes. Not like the Catholics who keep him up on the cross all the time. That's Friday. Ooh, that's the day that Muslims celebrate. That's the day you celebrate, Friday. Friday's here, but Sundays are coming. Listen, God died on Friday, and on Sunday he rose from the dead. My God can die anytime he wants, but he does not stay dead. He rises from the dead. Yes, my God can die and rise again. That's what kind of God we have. We have the biggest God in the world. We have the greatest God in the world. And he can do anything he chooses to do if he is truly God. The fact that your God can't do that, the fact that Allah of the Quran is incapable of coming to earth, the fact that Allah of the Quran is incapable of having a relationship with me, suggests that you probably have the wrong God. Yeah, and your God is way too small. Come on, Muslims, come on home. Get a bigger God. We've got him. I know you want him. His name is Jesus Christ. God bless you. This is Jay. Over and out.